There comes a time when you have to stop proving your worth to people who never deserved you in the first place. You have to step back, pull away, and let them feel what life is like without you. Some of you are giving too much time, too much energy, too much love to people who barely notice your efforts. And because you're always there, always available, always reaching out, they assume you always will be. But what happens when you stop? What happens when you go silent? When you stop texting first, stop showing up, stop making excuses for their behavior. That's when they start to feel your absence. That's when they realize your value. See, people don't appreciate what's constant, they appreciate what they miss. Think about the sun. It rises every day and we take it for granted. But when a storm comes, when the sky goes dark, suddenly we crave its warmth. Your presence is no different. You have to remove yourself for people to truly appreciate what you bring. Not everyone deserves access to you. Your energy is valuable, your presence is a gift. And when you start treating it that way, the world takes notice. They'll wonder why you stopped calling, why you stopped showing up, why your attention is no longer on them. And by the time they realize they took you for granted, you'll already be on a new level, stronger, wiser, unstoppable. Let them miss you, because when they do, they'll finally see the truth. You were never the one who needed them. They were the ones who needed you. Your presence is a privilege, not an obligation. Too often, people move through life acting as if they are required to be available to everyone at all times. They pick up every call, reply to every message, attend every event, and make sure everyone around them is comfortable, even at the cost of their own peace. But here's the truth: you don't owe everyone your time, energy, or presence. When you treat yourself like an obligation, so will everyone else. They will assume that no matter how they treat you, no matter what they say or do, you will always be there. And once they believe that, they stop valuing you. Think about the most successful, respected people you know. Do they make themselves easily accessible to just anyone? Do they spend their energy trying to convince people of their worth? No. They carry themselves with a sense of value. They understand that their time is precious, their presence is meaningful, and not just anyone deserves access to them. This isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. It's knowing that not everyone is meant to walk this journey with you. It's recognizing that you cannot force people to see your worth. The only way to be valued is to become valuable, not by chasing, not by proving, but by standing firm in who you are. When you make yourself too available, people stop seeing you as a privilege. It's human nature. The things we always have access to, we take for granted. It's not until those things are gone that we suddenly recognize how much they mattered. The same principle applies to relationships, friendships, and even opportunities. The moment you start acting like your presence is optional, people will treat it that way. But when you carry yourself like a gift, something rare, something valuable, you will be seen differently. People need to earn access to your time, not expect it. You cannot be everything to everyone. You cannot keep pouring into people who never pour back into you. If someone only reaches out when they need something, if they only acknowledge when it's convenient for them, then your presence in their life has become a convenience, not a blessing. And you are not here to be convenient. You are here to be impactful. You are here to make a difference, to grow, to evolve, and to surround yourself with people who genuinely see and appreciate you, not just when they need you, but every single day. There is power in stepping back. There is power in choosing yourself. There is power in letting people feel your absence. If they only notice your worth once you stop showing up, then that tells you everything you need to know. That means they never truly valued you, they just got used to having you around. And you are too valuable to be an afterthought. The moment you stop making yourself an obligation, the moment you stop running after people, the moment you decide that you matter just as much as everyone else, that's the moment everything changes. Because when you raise your standards, when you show the world that you are not an option but a priority, the right people will start treating you accordingly. The people who truly value you won't need to lose you to realize your worth. And the ones who don't, let them miss you. Let them feel the loss. Let them see what happens when someone of value walks away. Most people underestimate the strength that comes with saying nothing. They think that in order to be heard, they need to argue, explain, convince, or constantly remind others of their worth. But the reality is, the most impactful messages are often delivered in silence. When you step back and stop speaking, people start to notice. They begin to question what changed, why you're no longer available, why you're no longer pouring into them the way you used to. And in that silence, they begin to hear what they've been ignoring all along. Your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did. When you remove your voice, you remove your energy. And when people have been feeding off your energy without appreciating it, that withdrawal forces them to feel the loss. Think about it. When you stop responding, when you stop chasing, when you stop making excuses for others, they start to wonder. They feel the shift. They recognize the difference. Silence forces people to sit with their own thoughts, and sometimes, that's the most powerful thing you can do. Silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing when to speak and when to let your absence do the talking. Too many people waste their energy explaining themselves to those who have already made up their minds. They try to prove their worth to those who refuse to see it. But here's the truth. If someone doesn't value when you're present, explaining yourself won't change a thing. Walking away will. This is why some of the most influential people in history have mastered the art of silence. They don't react emotionally. They don't argue with people who don't respect them. They don't waste their words on those who refuse to listen. Instead, they step back. They observe. They strategize. And when they do speak, it's with impact, not desperation. Your silence forces people to confront reality. It makes them reflect. When you stop responding to negativity, it stops having power over you. When you stop explaining yourself to people who don't care, you regain your energy. When you stop engaging in arguments that lead nowhere, you reclaim your peace. Some of you have been too available, too accessible, too open with people who don't deserve that level of access. You think that if you just keep showing up, if you just keep explaining yourself, if you just keep proving your worth, then maybe, just maybe, they'll finally see you. But real value doesn't come from convincing others, it comes from knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need to explain it. And here's the thing. The moment you go silent, the moment you remove yourself from the equation, the moment you stop responding, people start paying attention. They begin to wonder where you went. They begin to feel the void you left behind. They begin to realize that they weren't entitled to your presence, it was a privilege they took for granted. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to sit with the truth. It removes distractions. It creates space for reflection. And sometimes that's the only way people truly understand what they had. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, resist it. The next time you feel the need to prove your worth, don't. Instead, step back, say nothing, let your silence do the talking, because in that silence you will find your power. And in that power you will find the people who truly value you without you having to say a word. What is always available is rarely appreciated. The things we work for, the things we have to wait for, the things we can't always have at our fingertips, those are the things we desire the most. The same principle applies to you. If you are always within reach, always saying yes, always showing up even when you're not being respected, people will start to take you for granted. But the moment you create distance, the moment you step back, the moment you make yourself less accessible, that's when your true value becomes clear. Think about the finest things in life: diamonds, luxury cars, exclusive invitations. These things hold their worth because they are not easily obtained. If diamonds were scattered on the streets like pebbles, no one would value them. Their rarity is what makes them precious. Your presence should be the same way. When you are always available, when you are always saying yes, when you are always within reach, people stop seeing you as special. They assume they can have your energy anytime they want. But when you create distance, they start to see just how much you actually brought into their lives. This is why you need to be intentional with your energy. You cannot keep pouring into people who don't pour back into you. You cannot continue giving your time to those who take it for granted. If someone isn't reciprocating, if someone is treating you as an option instead of a priority, it's time to step back. And when you do, something powerful happens. They start to miss you. They start to realize how much you did. They start to understand that what they had wasn't ordinary, it was rare. Creating distance doesn't mean you're being rude. It doesn't mean you're punishing anyone. It means you respect yourself enough to protect your energy. It means you are choosing to surround yourself with people who actually see your worth without you having to remind them. Some of you are exhausted not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing too much for the wrong people. You're chasing friendships, relationships, opportunities that don't reciprocate the same energy. And deep down you know it. You know you're overextending. You know you're undervaluing yourself. But you're afraid that if you pull away, you'll lose people. But let me ask you this: if your absence makes them disappear, were they really there for you in the first place? Real connections don't fade just because you take time for yourself. Real friends, real partners, real supporters don't suddenly forget you just because you stopped overgiving. The ones who truly value you will respect your distance, and they will meet you at your level. The ones who don't, let them go. Let them miss you. Let them feel what life is like without your presence. The truth is, when you create space, you allow better things to enter your life. The wrong people will fade, and the right people will step up. The people who took you for granted will finally understand what they lost, and the people who always valued you will make sure you know your worth. Distance forces clarity. It shows you who truly values you and who only kept you around for their convenience. It reveals who is willing to make the effort and who was just there because it was easy. So don't be afraid to step back. Don't be afraid to take time for yourself. Don't be afraid to make people earn your energy. Because when you do, you'll see exactly who deserves to be in your life and who was only there because you never asked them to prove that they belong. People will only treat you at the level you allow. If you accept less, they will give you less. If you tolerate disrespect, they will continue to disrespect you. But the moment you raise your standards, the moment you decide that you will no longer accept anything below your worth, everything changes. The way people see you shifts. The way they approach you changes. Your presence begins to command a different level of respect, not because you asked for it, but because you became a person who demands it through your actions. Too many people settle for less than they deserve because they're afraid of losing others. They think that if they raise their standards, they'll push people away, and you know what? They're right. The wrong people will leave when you demand more. The ones who were only there for convenience, the ones who were taking advantage of your kindness, the ones who never truly valued you in the first place, they'll disappear. But that's exactly what's supposed to happen. Let them go. Because when you clear out the ones who couldn't rise to your level, you make space for the ones who can. The moment you decide that you will no longer entertain certain behaviors, certain energy, certain treatment, you force the world to take you seriously. You show people that you're not desperate for their attention, that you're not afraid to walk alone if necessary, and that if they want to be a part of your life, they need to step up. This applies to every area of life: relationships, friendships, career, and even the way you treat yourself. If you don't demand respect, don't be surprised when people don't give it to you. If you accept mediocrity, don't be shocked when people only offer you the bare minimum. You set the tone. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. Raising your standards doesn't mean being arrogant. It means being clear. It means defining what you will and won't accept. It means knowing your worth so deeply that you would rather be alone than surrounded by people who don't truly value you. Because here's the truth: people don't respect what they don't have to work for. If you give them unlimited access without requiring them to earn it, they won't appreciate it. If you lower your standards just to keep them around, they won't respect you. So what happens when you raise your standards? You shift the dynamic. You become rare. You become someone people don't just get to have in their life, they have to earn that privilege. And that's when everything changes. The people who truly belong in your life won't be scared off by your standards. They'll rise to meet them. The people who were just using you will fall away because they can't meet the level of value you expect. And that's how you filter out the ones who were never meant to be there in the first place. It takes strength to say, "I deserve better." It takes courage to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. It takes confidence to know that you are not losing people, they are losing you. But the moment you make that shift, the moment you stop settling, you will see how your entire world changes. Because when you elevate your standards, you elevate your life. In a world where everyone is constantly trying to prove their worth, trying to explain themselves, trying to defend their value, silence is power. When you pull back, when you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, people start to notice. They start to wonder. They start to feel your absence, and that's when your value rises. See, when you're always talking, always reaching out, always making yourself available, people don't have time to miss you. They don't have time to reflect on what you brought into their lives. They don't have time to wonder what's changed, because you've never given them the space to feel your absence. But the moment you go silent, the moment you step back and let them sit with the void you left behind, that's when they start to realize. This is why you don't argue for your worth. You don't chase people to see your value. You don't beg anyone to treat you right. You let your absence do the talking. If they don't care when you leave, they never truly valued you. But if they start to feel it, if they start to reach out, if they start to wonder why you're no longer around, that's when you know your presence held weight. Silence has a way of exposing everything. It reveals who really cares and who was just using you. It reveals who values your energy and who was simply taking it for granted. It forces people to confront the truth without you having to say a single word. Too many people waste their energy trying to prove their worth. They over-explain, they overgive, they overstay in places where they are not valued. But the strongest people, they let silence do the work. They walk away and let people figure it out for themselves. Because here's the truth: when you are silent, people listen louder. They start to play back your words in their minds. They start to remember the things you used to do for them. They start to realize how much of their life was being held together by your presence. And that's when they finally see your value. Silence creates mystery. It makes people wonder. It makes them question. And in that questioning, they start to realize what they had. But as long as you are always available, always explaining, always trying to prove yourself, they never have to do that work. They never have to think about what it would be like without you, because you've never given them the chance to. When you choose silence, you take back your power. You are no longer the one chasing, the one proving, the one begging for respect. You are the one in control. You are the one setting the standard. You are the one making it clear, if you don't value me, I will remove myself. And when you do, that's when the tables turn. That's when they realize what they lost. That's when they start searching for what they once took for granted. But here's the key: you don't go silent just to make them miss you. You go silent because you deserve peace. You go silent because your energy is too valuable to be wasted on people who don't appreciate it. You go silent because your time, your presence, and your love are things that must be earned. And when you learn to do this, you won't have to chase. You won't have to prove. You won't have to force anyone to see your worth. Because your silence will say it all. There is power in knowing when to leave. There is strength in understanding that not every battle is meant to be fought. Not every relationship is meant to last. And not every situation is worth your energy. The moment you learn to walk away without hesitation, you take control of your life in a way that most people never do. See, most people stay too long in places where they are not valued. They stay in relationships where they are not respected. They stay in jobs where they are not appreciated. They stay in friendships where they are constantly being drained. Why? Because they're afraid of being alone, afraid of starting over, afraid of the unknown. But the truth is, staying where you are not valued will always cost you more than leaving ever will. The ability to walk away is not about ego. It's not about proving a point. It's about self-respect. It's about understanding that you do not have to force anyone to see your worth. If someone can't appreciate what you bring to the table, then it's simple: you leave the table. Too often, people waste their time trying to convince others to see their value. They argue. They explain. They beg. But value is never explained, it is recognized. And if someone cannot recognize it, then it is not your job to make them. Walking away creates respect. It sets the standard. It sends a clear message: I am not someone you get to take for granted. And trust me, people remember the ones who had the strength to leave. They remember the ones who did not settle. They remember the ones who refused to tolerate anything less than they deserved. But walking away is not just about relationships. It applies to every area of life. If something is draining you, if something is stealing your peace, if something is no longer serving your growth, it is your responsibility to let it go. It takes courage to walk away. It takes strength to say, I deserve better. But the moment you do, the moment you stop fighting for a place in people's lives where you are not valued, you shift the energy. You create space for the right people, the right opportunities, and the right environments to enter your life. And here's the most powerful part: when you walk away, you force people to confront the reality of your absence. You give them the space to realize what they lost, and often that's when they finally see your worth. That's when they start reaching out. That's when they start trying to fix what they once ignored. But by then, it's not about them anymore. It's about you. It's about the fact that you've grown beyond needing their validation. It's about the fact that you've stepped into a version of yourself that no longer settles, no longer begs, no longer waits for someone else to decide your worth. Because when you learn to walk away, you stop looking for external approval and you start creating internal peace. Most people will never learn this lesson. They will stay in places that drain them. They will fight for people who don't care. They will waste years trying to prove their value to those who refuse to see it. But not you. You will recognize that walking away is not a loss, it is a gain. It is a gain of self-respect, a gain of clarity, a gain of power. And once you master the art of walking away, you will never settle again.